Episode 2. Seems like we just ended episode 1.
Yeah.
I know, right?
So,
I mean, literally,
it ain't gonna be like
we did.
the rebirth of Zombies Don't podcast where we do one episode then vanish again, right?
Can
exactly.
I?
That's the whole idea. Now we can definitely say we have twice as many episodes as the new Zombies Done podcast. At least.
Can I say something? I never listened to that, Chuck.
Why didn't
you? You know
what? I meant
honest.
to, and then I literally went to find the link for it, and I couldn't.
It's on YouTube.
So I'm gonna be legitimately honest. Part of my job means every so often I end up on extremely sudden trips. I found myself in New Jersey, Virginia, Seattle, Connecticut once because of it. But the New Jersey one of those, well, I needed something to listen to through the Bluetooth in my car, and YouTube works great for that. So I actually have listened to it, and not for nothing, it wasn't bad.
Yeah. It never was with Goob. It never was bad. It just getting him there was the problem, you know.
You tried. You tried to do the Extracast, the new Extracast thing, which was to do the episode where you just talk about random stuff and discuss, like, I forget what your concept was. You wanted to do as something like the movie that. What were you talking about? Like, there was a type of movie you were talking about that each of you talked about one movie. I can't remember what the reason you were talking about it was.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm talking to Chuck about his podcast episode.
Oh, yeah. Well, I definitely don't know what you're talking about because I didn't watch it.
The first episode was we were talking about go-to movies, like just movies you
That's
just
go-tos, yeah.
Stuff you just randomly put on if you don't want, nothing else on, or if you're bored, or just something you just like a comfort movie type of thing. That's what it was. Yeah. And the second episode was going to be remakes. He was going to talk about remakes. Never got there. So
it's all right, Chuck.
I didn't get the crap on the new Cabin Fever, you know.
I haven't watched it.
You're not missing anything.
So you've told me multiple times.
I didn't mention in the last episode that I have seen the Suspiria remake, and yeah, I got stuff to prep on about that too. But
how do you feel about that, Mr. Beard? How do you feel about
that? Bitch. You know what? Okay, so if everyone that watched or listened to the original run of Extracast knows that I fucking love Dario Argento, and two of my favorite films of all time are Deep Red and Suspiria.
Evidence over your right shoulder.
Yeah, like.
Yeah.
Literally, original theatrical poster. Cost me a small fortune. Fucking one of my favorite movies ever. So I was actually really excited. I was really excited for this remake.
Me too.
And it had a good cast, and it was a thing. I don't know, man.
It's an art film.
It wasn't Suspiria.
No, it's an art film. It's not Suspiria. It's an art film called Suspiria.
Yeah, it's the only two connections is that they're witches, and it's a fucking ballet school.
Yep.
And I was okay with them going another route with the movie and the story altogether, but Jesus Christ, there was 19 storylines. There were 19 storylines. What's her face played 2 fucking characters.
I'm not against that, but
I'm not either. But
she played 3 actually. Played 3 actually.
Really?
Yeah, she was in the. All I'll say is she was in the big suit at the end.
No shit.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Anyway, like the end, the gore was awesome. Like the end scene was great, but that movie was an hour and a half too fucking long.
Yes, it was.
That could have been a 50-minute movie.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd have cut out a whole bunch of shit, and a whole bunch more shit, and then 40 minutes of more shit, and it would have been a movie that I didn't like, a short film that I would have enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the more that movie went on, the more I just kept thinking to myself, yeah, the old beard ain't gonna like this.
No,
I kept thinking there are so many other things I could be doing with my time right now.
My wife and I watched it, and she's like, "Can we turn this off?" And I was like, "No, I have to finish." Man, I hated the world.
Well, they can't all be the Maniac remake,
Yeah.
That was good.
Of course, you could argue that Maniac was a movie that had room for improvement over the first one. The first Suspiria, why? What else could you add to it unless you just, you don't go that way.
Just because you can't improve, I mean, doesn't mean you don't do it. I mean, technically, The Thing from Another World is its own unique thing, pun not intended. But you can still make the Thing in the 80s and have it be its own thing. The reason Maniac works isn't so much because they could improve Maniac, but because they had a concept stylistically,
the first movie wasn't
made it fresh. Yeah, no, it wasn't. But the main reason that the remake works is because even though they're doing the same kind of story, the stylistic choice they made it fresh. And Elijah Wood's amazing.
Yeah. Where was he? He should have had something to do with the Suspiria remake. I mean, it felt more like there was something when I don't remember. It's been a while since I watched it, but I remember when I watched it, something or another happened in it that made me feel like it felt more like an Inferno movie or something to me than Suspiria.
Ending?
Yeah, probably.
Regardless, I fucking hate it.
Anyway.
You know what? If I ever found that $100 version of it that's 4K and it has both Suspirias in it with soundtracks, big box, Diabolic had it for a while, but I've been poor for a long time now, so I don't own it. But I would buy that and I would have a second copy of that movie just because it's in that box set of the first one.
Since it's been 4 years, did you ever get to tell us your opinion of the Twin Peaks?
I don't think you did.
I'm sorry, what?
Twin Peaks season 3. We think it came out after the show ended. We wanted to know your thoughts.
I actually haven't finished it.
Oh.
Well, you get more questions than answers when it's all said and done.
I'm okay with that.
I would say that's Twin Peaks in a nutshell. I haven't watched it, but I know enough about it that doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
This was David Lynch on acid, is what this was.
Well, every time that I had gone, because I was trying to watch it when it was on TV, and I got about halfway through it and couldn't keep up with it due to work and all that. And at the time, we didn't have like a DVR or anything, and it wasn't on demand. So, and then when the Blu-ray came out, and I'm like, well, it's like, 8 months later, I'm going to start it over. And then I had this idea that I was going to start the entire show over and just power through it. And kids, man, I never got to
it. It's hard to power through.
Wife and I are planning to watch Hannibal soon because it's on Netflix. I'm hoping we can get through it over time, but
I will say at the job I'm at now, I work 4/10, so I've got 3 days off, and they're a Christian-based company, so I've got every Sunday off, which is good for soccer and football.
They're the Chick-fil-A's of furniture sales.
If you could have told me to pick a place that she was going to work, that doesn't seem like your type of place you'd be working.
It's not, but you know what? It's really laid back.
I'd say it's better for you than selling cell phones was.
Yeah, I don't have people throwing phones at me, and if there's an issue, we've got a fucking department for that. And I'm like, hey, we transfer you down to this local team that'll take care of everything for you. And I get to work with an older guy that's from the same town that I live in, and he used to own a rental store. And we just talk about horror movies because he said horror and sci-fi were the best renters. They were his favorite movies, but Dirty Dancing was the best renter of all time. Which
because of course it was.
That was probably the movie that the guys rented to get laid to.
Wouldn't shock me.
Hey, that's a good movie now. Don't sleep on Dirty Dancing.
I've only seen it once.
I've seen it a million times because that was like my grandma's favorite movie. So I lived through it through VHS, DVD, And Blu-ray.
So you got a 4 on Blu-ray. That's awesome.
Yeah, so like I'd always like upgrade that one. That was like always a Mother's Day gift if it ever come out. It was like the upgraded version of it. So I've seen it so much that when I saw the remake, I could get ticked off because the remake is terrible.
So just in case you were curious, there is a streaming copy of it in 4K Ultra HD, but there is not, to my knowledge, a 4K copy of Dirty Dancing yet.
I'm pretty sure Chuck has the sequel to Dirty Dancing in his Voodoo account.
Havana Nights.
You do, don't you?
I've never watched it though.
I call bullshit.
It came with Dirty Dancing on Blu-ray is why I have it.
Honestly, he's probably right. They made sets that were like both movies. That's probably the reason half people own that movie is because it came with a copy of Dirty Dancing if you bought the 2-pack.
Yeah.
It's on Amazon. That's the only reason why I know it. There's a 2-pack on Amazon.
There's Funko Pops of Dirty Dancing in there.
There's Funko Pops of everything.
This is true.
Here. There's a Funko Pop of everything. For example,
this is Power Video.
This is Guillermo del Toro.
There he is.
I mean,
they are coming out with It's Always Sunny Funko Pops.
Surprised they haven't yet.
I may buy my first ones.
I will say, credit to them. This is number 666 Funko Pop, so credit to them on that one. But, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. The only pop I own is the new Hulk Hogan one.
You know what? I actually have I have the original Freddy Krueger one, and I think Rod Wingland signed it for us, for my wife at least.
I still have my Nightmare on Elm Street original 7-pack set DVD with him on the side that I didn't fucking listen to him when I said, sign across the spines of the movies because you're in all of them, and I've had the people who are in the movie sign the other ones. And he goes, are you sure about that? Because they all need to be together. I'm like, yeah, sign the spines. I should have fucking listened to him. But anyway.
Were they not in order?
No, they were in order. It's just it looks really stupid to have like it all the way across it and not signed by him on any of the movies inside of it, just the spine.
I was really, really hoping that you would have said like they were completely out of order.
Oh God, no! I'm not OCD, but I'm OCD enough for that.
Yeah, I'd probably have more Funkos if NECA didn't do such a good job putting out stuff. You know, I'm
surprised you didn't buy a Godzilla Funko. Yeah,
that thing looked cool.
I had it at one time because they sent me one, but I ended up being pressed for cash, and because something was out, I just had to have, and I ended up selling it. So I don't remember what I had to have, but I sold my Godzilla Funko, and it was the big Godzilla.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, like the 12-inch one or 18-inch one.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't really like them. I had like the Frankenstein one too from the Walgreens Halloween exclusive stuff around Halloween. They did the Frankenstein at Walgreens. I had it and I got rid of it, but I've just been mainly buying the NECA stuff because I've got like part 3 and the remake Jason of those, and I've got part 3 of Freddy, and I've got the new Halloween Michael Myers. I'd like to have the Halloween 2 one though.
I went when I went up to Seattle with my wife last October, we went like 40 minutes away is the Funko store, the big one. So I mean, like, it's a pretty interesting experience there, but in terms of Funkos themselves, I've kind of gotten out of that. You kind of get into it more when you work at GameStop. So you have to know when all the stuff's coming out, and you know you got people who are just going to literally beat your door down. I had a guy who hated my guts because every time he and his girlfriend came in, I'd tell the girlfriend when there were new Harry Potter Pops. And I'm quite sure that every time I did, he wanted to beat the shit out of me.
There's just there's too much cool stuff these days. You can never have it all unless you're rich, pretty much.
I mean, I'm glad that I never really got into it, to be honest. But I stopped buying action figures around the time we bought this house because I've never actually unboxed any of my action figures. They're in the next room.
Do you still have the Phantasm one?
The tall man with the 2 posts?
Yeah. You want to get rid of that? Because, you know, I'm your man.
Careful what you're asking for here, Chuck. You're on video.
You know what I need? I need a copy of Godzilla versus Biollante.
Didn't you just order one?
I did.
Yeah. You have to ask your buddy Dance Commander about that.
He's messaging me right now. Actually, I posted a tweet when we started the first episode that said something like pretty much just putting it straight out there what we're doing right now. Yeah, and it was just like, I'm gonna be gone for a few hours and I'll be out of commission, and James and Chuck will be with me. And then he asked if one of the guys from the other Extracast podcast is going to be with us.
Sure. You know, if that ever happened, we would sit here and rag him mercilessly, right?
That's okay.
It'd be a 30-minute episode of us just going, Jesus Christ. What the hell? You named it, and you didn't even check and see if you could name a website after it. Come on.
He didn't care.
Cease and desist coming,
boys. That's what it was.
It's all right. We can have a turf war later.
I will say this, and I mean this in the best possible way. If another episode of that show comes out, I will be shocked. If it does, great, more power to him for continuing to podcast. I honestly think he's probably, considering he's apparently a month behind the schedule he put on Twitter of episodes he's going to do, I think something must have happened. But
I don't know.
They got burned out that quickly.
I listened to a very little bit, I think, of their first episode. Maybe it was their second. It was Texas Chainsaw. And, yeah. I can't say anything. I really didn't listen to much of it. I heard their voices and I checked out.
If people don't get like instant fame on this stuff, sometimes they just quit doing it.
You know, it takes a while. Because I was doing the
they don't have the drive, you know.
I was doing the affordable tech reviews for over 2 years now until I actually finally started getting burnt out on it.
Which is good distance. I mean, God, I reviewed for Horror Freak News for 3-4 years, I think, tops.
Well, look here, boys. I'm a lifer at this. I've been doing this since 2008.
This is Chuck's day job.
Where am I?
Yes, this is Chuck's day job, yes.
Actually, Bouncy House Dropper is my day job. But besides that, though.
That's only in the summer.
It's seasonal. It's seasonal. You know, I get by. But, you know, the thing is like, am I really any better now than I was when I started? Like, I get the free movies, right? But I'm not a household name. They don't know me like they know old John Squires or somebody like that. You know?
We can bleep that out, right? That name? Just kidding.
The reason Chuck is a household name on Twitter is because of the poll from 10 years ago.
Let's not go too deep into that, especially nowadays.
Yeah, right. You're right. It's like I've been making movies for a long time now. Okay, I'm about to be 4 deep. 5 if you want to count Chicken's Blood, because I had a lot to do with that. I've never been recognized. I've never been recognized for any movies that I've ever done anywhere. And I go to Days of the Dead in Atlanta and all that stuff. The only person that's ever asked me about my movie career was James Beckert, that did Dear God No. He's the only one that ever asked me. But
he's a super nice guy.
He's a great guy. And I go to Walmart and I get, hey, that's that wrestler guy. Nobody ever says, hey, that's the dude that makes movies, or that's the dude that does reviews. That's the wrestler.
I mean, to be fair, you get, hey, that's that guy in any way, shape, or form, and that's worthwhile.
Yeah, but it's local.
Now, to be fair, they say, hey, there's that wrestler guy.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I shouldn't say what I was about to say because you are officially a former champion. So I shouldn't say what I was about to say.
There's the champ. 1 week title run. Never officially lost it.
You cheated.
I cheated often, but I'm a good guy.
You cheated a bad guy out of a title.
Like Eddie Guerrero.
Like all the truly great faces do.
Yes.
Yeah. But you know, like I said, I'd gladly like to have some like horror clout in the community, but I don't think I do.
Nowadays, I don't either. Like, I liked back when. There's still people on Facebook that I talk to, and on Twitter a little bit, but Facebook more so, that I'm friends with, that wish me a happy birthday, that found me because of the writing back then. You know, and I'd like to think, like, back then I enjoyed the time. There was a point I was on IMDb's front page for a day. But nowadays, it's going to come up when we talk about the movie today, but nowadays I just can't. Like, I get too mad at the community sometimes, and I just can't do that.
That sounds like a segue into a subject.
No, not yet. I said later, man.
So yeah, but before we get to do our review this week, Severin is having a halfway to Black Friday sale. Mid. I don't think they're actually calling it that. It's like mid of the year sale or some shit. But everything is going to be like 50% off for the most part.
Which usually means that things like are going to be Blu-rays that weren't released. It's usually that Blu-rays that weren't released in the last 6 months. So since the Black Friday sale will be half price, as will all their DVDs. And that means you'll be getting things at like $14 for Blu-rays, $10, $9 for DVDs, things like that.
I'm gonna need a few of those newer titles to be on sale.
Some might be.
You gonna get that gigantic box set of that one guy's movies?
Yes.
Al Adamson.
No.
That's what he was getting at, not Lindsay, dude.
No, that's what I meant.
Some of us already have that order from Diabolic. But,
I think they're down to $180 on that set now.
They're calling it mid-year sale, by the way.
Mid-year?
It's June 26th to June 29th.
So Vinegar Syndrome sale, when was it? Like, what were the dates on it?
Oh, it's like May 25th to 28th or 29th, something like that. They used to be at the same time up until this year. It used to be that Vinegar Syndrome and Severin would be doing the sale at the exact same time. That sucked. So thank God Severin pushed it back a month.
Hey, at all the conventions I've ever attended, their tables were always next to each other. And they had the whole, you can't buy something from him without buying something from me mentality going on.
I mean,
Severin's tables, they're always super fun at conventions. But Vinegar Syndrome's site is still down, like processing orders. They're not even taking new orders because they've sold so much shit.
Dance Commander said he got his shipping confirmation yesterday, but I mean, they're just still pushing through.
I have not received any.
Some of them just had like new slip cases, right?
Yeah, they do that now. Some of them are old releases they already did, and they make a new slipcase for them because they weren't doing slipcases back then. And other ones, you still are owing us. You don't have to do it on air. You can tell us off air, but you still need to owe us and tell us what's in you bought.
Wait, what now?
When it comes. I said you owe us, not on air, because they probably don't want people to say out loud that much what it is. You owe us the information on what's inside the mini slipcase.
Oh.
When the time comes. Yeah.
I was actually going to, I thought about doing an unboxing video of the whole thing and putting it on this YouTube channel.
You could. I'm not. They never said not to tell people what was inside of it. I just, I'm thinking off my days going to 35mm festivals where they'd be like, in our secret movie, but don't tell anyone. Basically.
I'll tell the world.
Tell them all. Sure, go for it. They're not sending you screeners. Why wouldn't you?
They don't send like a lot of that stuff,
I used to get their stuff, and they used to. I can't remember his name.
Well, they don't send some stuff, like.
He would give me the stuff that they didn't send back then. He would give me at Cinema Wasteland to review. He would just hand it to me off the table.
James, was it James?
It was James. Yes.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a really good guy because I always talk to him at Days of the Dead in Atlanta, and I know last year I was like, have you even? He was asking me about wrestling, like, believe it or not. I was like, well, I make movies too. I was going, have you seen any of my movies? He goes, I can't stand watching movies. because like every movie that comes out, he goes over them frame by frame every movie.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, I could see where that would possibly like take out the want of watching movies.
Yeah, well, it's a job. I mean, it kills the desire of anything after a while.
Right. I know.
We both do.
Did you order any of just the slipcases by themselves, or did you get like a movie for everything?
Movie with everything on mine. I didn't order that much in the first place, but yeah.
In most cases, I opted to pay like $2 or $3 less and not get a slipcase.
Because their slipcases are fine, but it's slipcases now are what VHS was back when ExtraCast was first airing. Would you agree with that?
Sure.
I mean,
it's like people are
proving that there's a market for just slipcases.
Yeah, people exactly. Are just buying things and just selling their fucking slip off of it.
Yeah, eBay right now. Oh yeah.
So I mean, I don't care that much. I
think
maybe
on a gold mine, boys. If I ever sold all my slipcases, I could be rich.
If you ever follow any of the Facebook groups, there's always somebody who's like, anybody have a slipcase for whatever? I need it for my collection. Oh, yeah.
Boys, I've got the original Life Force slipcase. I've got the original.
I think I do, too.
I've got the original They Live slipcase with the Buy Me sticker on it. The Buy sticker.
I think I still have the Buy sticker on mine, too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean,
I got it.
You get a lot of money out of those these days, but then if I could rivet, then I wouldn't have it. So.
Exactly. The Severin one, so far, they've been slowly like leaking stuff out over time. And so right now, basically all they've said is they're going to have 6 new things, of which something's Fulci, something is Franco. The Intervision title we talked about last episode, they had just announced it's Frankie and his pals or something. Yeah. 50% off most titles, 50% off. No, because Code Red's doing that, and that's a story for another day. Dark Force and Code Red.
Dark Force.
Dark Force. The brand that thinks it can beat up every other brand, literally on Facebook, and will tell you so.
But what did you think about his film Chaos, though? That's the real question.
I didn't know he made one. And I don't care.
He made the movie Chaos. With
like I said, and I don't care.
Stallone in it, which is it's got Sylvester Stallone's kid in it. Chaos.
How long ago did you make that?
I don't know, but it's basically a remake of Last House on the Left, pretty much.
How long has Sage Stallone been dead?
Oh, years.
Wow, I like this, but this was like an 09 movie, I think. 07, 09, something like that, maybe.
Was this before? Is this before he went crazy, or during, or has he always been crazy?
Oh, he's always been crazy.
I think he's always been crazy.
Because I had a
confirmed
interview with him for ExtraCast, and he bailed on me the day of.
Yeah.
The Dark Force guy bailed on you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Code Red guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same guy, right?
They're the same thing, really. Technically, Dark Force is him with someone else, but yeah.
Well, but still don't say the year.
Fuck, Chuck.
It was 2006. Chaos. 2006. This one right here.
Who released that? Code Red?
Code Red, that's their style.
Dark Force.
That's one of their it's Dark Force. It's one of their 35mm double features, which basically gives them it's one of those things they do that gives them license to put on a Blu-ray level print of what basically amounts to them trying to recreate a Grindhouse double feature. Have you watched that?
Yeah.
That Blu-ray?
Yeah.
Specifically, like both movies. How's the quality?
Yeah. Chaos looks decent. Don't look the base, but don't look good.
Yeah, that's about what I expected. Because I had this feeling that basically it's an idea that they came up with to get stuff out with minimal tweaking and editing, basically.
they're in with MVD now. They're being distributed through MVD. So I got Mirror Mirror and Mirror Mirror 2 and all that through MVD from them.
Some of it, and Scorpions through Ronin. And Ronin does pretty good stuff through that.
I like the MVD ones because I can get those.
Getting back to Severin sale, it's half off most of their titles that weren't out before the last sale. Half off most of their merch. Naughty and nice merch items, they call it. I'm pretty sure the naughty one they're talking about is they announced nipple covers today.
Chuck got those for review.
Yeah.
They're going to give out free lanyards, convention-style lanyards, in every issue, and the lanyards will have some kind of special discount offer. And they've also announced that they're bringing back Blood on Satan's Claw, which came out for Black Friday last year, as well as Beast Must Die, and Beast Must Die will have a new scan and a new slipcover.
There's like 20 titles I want.
Yeah, I made a list.
like my thing
I haven't bought anything from Severin in a long time.
I can't say that, but there is definitely a list.
There's even a few smutty Franco and Fulci films on there that I still want. Unless Chuck wants to give me his.
I'm tired of just Franco.
I'll just take Chuck's.
I don't like Franco movies, but I love Fulci movies. So, and I realized that I'm getting up there in age, and Fulci's one of my favorite directors. There's still a whole bunch of his stuff I've not seen, So we need more Fulci before I kick the butt.
Well, the rumbling from their postings and stuff is that the Fulci probably is Demonia. That's the strongest chance, probably, people say. Mm-hmm. As for the Franco, no one has a fucking clue. I mean, it's...
How many movies did he make?
Too many.
I mean, I bet I've got at least 40 Franco movies, or at least I had 40 Franco movies. I've traded a bunch of them to that guy right there.
And to be fair, I'm not saying... I'm not saying he shouldn't have made them. I'm just saying it's kind of like asking how many movies did Miike make? Too many? That kind of answer.
I thought the only thing he's done I've liked is Bloody Moon.
He directed 207 films.
Yeah, like I said, too many. Not that they're bad. It's just no one should have directed 207 films.
Miike gonna catch up with you?
He's still alive. He's still alive.
Yeah.
I haven't told it on there because it happened afterwards, but I have a Devil's Honey story involving that, which was I ordered Devil's Rain through the Black Friday sale, opened the box, and it's Devil's Honey. Okay, sure. Satanist melting in a church, sex act with a saxophone. Called them up, they had me send it back over. Yeah. I emailed them and they had me send it back around, fix the issie, but yeah. You get the reason why. I mean, Devil's Rain, Devil's Honey, you get it, but still, weird mix-up.
I'd be okay with it. Devil's Honey's on my list, so...
Yeah, my list is basically Strange Advice of Mrs. Ward and Paganini Horror, definitely. And then I got maybe Killer Crocodile, Wax Mask, Night Killer, Changeling, DIY.
I've got most of those. I need
definitely going to upgrade my Wax Mask. I've got the original DVD. I've got a Blu-ray from... I want to say it's German.
Which one?
Like, there's the one company that's now out of business that put out a Blu-ray of Wax Mask like about 8 years ago, or not 8 years ago, about 4. It was when we was doing podcasts. It was like 4 years ago.
Was it real shitty?
Yeah.
That's what I have. That's what I have.
Yeah. That was a CAV distributed Blu-ray.
Okay. DVD I have is one of those cardboard cases with the plastic spines that snap on.
Oh yeah, it's shit. What they call that? There used to be a term for that. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
Awful.
Did you?
Yes, but still, not. Digibooks are better because they actually have pages, and a book inside. Flippers. Didn't they always call them flippers? with an F, you know.
Now, if you're talking about the old version we had, it was a regular Blu-ray case. If that's what you had.
No, my original DVD.
Oh.
That
I think back in the day when Warner Brothers put out DVD of Exorcist.
The snap cases?
Yes.
Yeah, that were cardboard.
Yeah, they said.
I think I got it from Exploited Cinema before they went out of business.
For some reason, Grindhouse put their movie Vic out in one of those cases.
Yeah, they did. Which you can get. I think that's a great movie. But you can get that from Diabolic right now for $5.
They must have had a bunch of them.
I guess.
Oh yeah, he's been trying to get rid of those for a long time.
It's okay. I like the movie a lot. It's like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood before Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, kind of. That last movie I saw in theaters was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Same here, and it was my favorite film of last year.
That was the first. It was mine too, but that was the first time I got to see a Tarantino movie in theaters because I'm always catching them on Blu-ray, and that's my favorite director, so I had to go see it.
I've seen every Tarantino film since Kill Bill in theaters.
Yeah. Saw Hateful Eight in theaters because I thought that went pretty much straight to Netflix.
I saw Hateful Eight in theater.
Okay.
Yeah, there was the scene where Sam Jackson's recalling Bruce Dern's son's like last moments, walking in the snow. There was an older couple that got up and walked out during that.
Too much for him.
Just too much for him.
Old people don't like stuff that's got to do with the Dingus because I had old people walk out of the first show in the Morbid when the Dingus came out. You know.
Well, that and they were old white people, so they probably didn't like the interracial thing.
I can't remember the exact moment, but I do remember being at a press screening for Human Centipede 1 Human Centipede 2. And old woman just got up, walked out, like, let's say, third of the way into the movie, something like that.
Did you guys just hear a really weird noise?
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay.
What does it sound like?
I don't know. It had to be something on my computer. I still don't know how to work this program, so I know how to do this. That's all I need.
I'm just happy my brand new $10 webcam is actually working good because it didn't want to work on my laptop when I tried it out the other day.
For what it's worth, it's better than the cell phone was.
This was a $60 camera that I got at the store in Grundy for $10. Off the pallets that people bring stuff back in, you know. I also got me a Jello, or what's it called, Jelly wireless keyboard. I need a new one.
Okay.
You should know this stuff.
I think you're actually kind of making him mad by discussing Jelly keyboards at this point. In that way.
So that's the sale. I'm probably not spending no money on it unless I sell some of my movies before the sale. Then I may spend some money on it. But the only thing I really want is the Night Killer because I've got most of the other stuff y'all talked about. Oh, I mean the new stuff.
I think I'm gonna get Skinner because I don't have that.
It's good.
You were talking about getting Anthropophagus and Absurd.
They're down the list.
Well, I'd say that same reason for me probably, which is you and I both donated to the 88 Films restoration. And so as part of that, I've got a Blu-ray of Anthropophagus, just like you do. And I have the DVD, you have a Blu-ray of Absurd.
I've got both of those on Blu-ray, and then I had DVDs before.
Yeah,
you know, I'm going to butcher this title, and you guys are going to laugh because I'm going to butcher the title, but the Paparini Horror is actually really good.
Paganini Horror.
Yes, Paganini.
That.
And Eli and I reviewed that like year 2 or so.
On a hard box.
Yes.
I think it's pretty good. And I'm pretty sure the girls that are the band in it are doing like a parody of like a Bon Jovi song, right?
That's exactly what we said in the review. There's a ripoff of Bon Jovi.
Well, it's been almost a decade ago, so.
Sadly,
yeah, especially if we're talking about VinSyn episodes.
I'm surprised he ain't tried to jump on here since it's video format and a new deal.
He
You didn't invite him, did you?
Did not.
As I said earlier, he's doing the side project of his side project. So
He's got a. Yeah, he is.
I think the noise I'm hearing is one of my AirPods dying.
Well, Lord knows you have plenty of them because you have to review them.
I've got these. These are the only ones.
That was half a joke.
Just plug in a
but
USB
I only need
headset.
one of them. I don't think this one's working.
You could always get the last headphones you reviewed.
I can, or one of the other 9 pair.
I know, right? Yeah.
I tried to trade some to Chuck for smut movies, and he said no.
I'm still waiting for the right offer on that smut movie.
$100 pair of headphones, man.
I was trying to get another movie for a movie. That's all I was asking. But no,
I don't have any. No, you're asking too much because you're asking for something that's worth a shitload of money.
Another movie.
Actually, who's doing the 2-for-1 sale? James.
2-for-1 is a Grindhouse video in Tampa.
City of Rot, Chuck, is on that 2-for-1 sale. It's only like $9.
He's been trying to get rid of that for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have City of Rot.
So that's one of the ones that you were wanting of mine.
Yeah.
So you can get your brand new
Philosophy of a Knife and Red Room.
Yeah, well.
We'd actually, of course, also recommend going to Hamilton Books for your sale prices too.
Yeah, because I just got the Jurassic Dead on Blu-ray for $1.49.
I got a bunch of Scream Factory stuff they didn't send out there. Like the Executioner Part 2 and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah. They have a lot of Mondo Macabro right now, some Scream Factory, some IFC Midnight, some Magnet.
There wasn't too much in there that I wanted.
Well, more inclined to Anthony Grindhouse.
For the price they were selling the Scream Factory, like $4.99, $5.99, I could say, yeah, I want it, because when have you ever got a Scream Factory movie for $4.99 or $5.99?
Exactly, yeah.
That's true.
So I got like Dead of Winter and all that stuff, stuff I've been wanting and just never got. Maybe one day I'll actually watch it, right? But I've got it. I mean, I actually had to watch a movie for you guys tonight because we're actually doing a review.
Yes, we are. Chuck had to watch a movie.
And James that's a segue.
James had to watch it too.
There's a segue.
I watched it last night. No, I had to try to watch it again because the first time I tried to watch it, I got too angry with it and had to stop 20 minutes in. So it should be noted, I gave it a second chance to do this review.
All right. So let's start this thing, and it's a Shudder original. It's called Blood Quantum, or Blood whatever.
Talk about Shudder a bit first?
What's that?
You want to talk about Shudder a bit first?
Yeah, we can talk about Shudder.
Just
when we were doing the show before.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it like the people who used to do Monsters HD, the channel, eventually kind of formed into this afterwards? That's what I read somewhere at one point.
I have no idea. All I know is that when we were doing the show originally, every once in a while James would chime in and be like, "Oh, you guys got a good Shudder, blah 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 blah, Shudder," and I didn't pay any attention to him.
Shudder then ain't like the Shudder of now.
This is true.
I mean, back then it was fine. It's just the way I had it was through VRV. And that was like, hey, you spend $5 or $10 a month and you get like 11 services at a time for free with that setup. And they had Shudder in there and you could search by letter. But you're right. Back then, they had a bunch of Blue Underground stuff at the time I was doing it. So you could watch Blade in the Dark. Cannibal Holocaust has always been on there, for some time. It was fine. But in terms of the originals, there wasn't like a huge push on a lot of their originals. It was around that time that Rob Zombie gave him 31 as a original, which that movie is terrible. But they got Prevenge after that. They got Revenge.
The first night we saw the trailer, the Revenge trailer. The first time I seen it was the first night of the Joe Bob marathon, the first Joe Bob marathon.
Well, that's the thing. They got big enough that they could actually bring Joe Bob Briggs back in it was like a one-time only 24-hour marathon, right?
12-hour, I think.
12-hour marathon?
No, it was 24. You're right, it was 24.
It was on Friday the
24.
13th.
Yeah.
It was a Friday the 13th.
And I had it through Prime, I think, at the time. And I couldn't watch it live, and I had to wait for it to completely go through. But that was awesome growing up, because watching, Monster Vision and all that. So that was like super nostalgic, and it was awesome, and everybody fucking loved it. And then it became a thing where he's like, well, we're going to do another one-off and do Dinners of Death, like 6 movies about eating food.
It was like 4. It was Hills Have Eyes, Texas Chainsaw, Dead or Alive, and Blood Rage.
And it was great because Darcy said that she liked the Texas Chainsaw remake more, and he legitimately got pissed off.
And then they did a Christmas one.
Phantasm.
Yeah, which was weird.
What was it? It was 1, 3, 4, 5, wasn't it?
Yeah, you didn't have to write the 2.
See, this is like old school. Like, I remember back in the original Monster Vision days when Joe Bob did the all-night Friday 13th marathon on TNT, which some of it's still up on YouTube now, but not all of it. They didn't have the rights to part 4 during that all-night thing, and they made a big deal about it when they was on the air. So it's kind of like a throwback to how it used to be, even though I really don't think they had the rights to show it on the Phantasm thing either.
No, I mean, it's Universal owned, so.
Yeah. Which currently is Well Go USA owned, I believe, at least leased
out.
Yes,
leased out to them. Yeah.
But, I mean, I used to love Joe Bob when I was a kid. I watched it all the time. I watched that. I watched Nightflix. They used to come on TBS. That was like my 2 things, like when I was out of school, when I was sitting up late. That's what I always liked to watch. So, to me, it was real cool to see it come back, So, I'm it's the same. It's a little different, obviously, because it's a different time and everything. But it's cool to see that return back, to a little bit like it used to be, a little of a bit of a throwback.
It's fun.
It's a lost art,
Yeah. I mean,
I get off at 8 on Fridays, so I can watch the new ones. So.
Yeah. I didn't really grow up with it. I was always more, and I didn't really watch much of her, but I was more into Elvira. Plus, in Louisiana, we had Morgus the Magnificent, who was this like awesome looking like mad scientist with a like deformed giant henchman named Chumley, and he'd conduct weird experiments and claim he was part of the Illuminati, and then show like some black and white thing. So I've always had some kind of respect for horror hosts. So I've been watching it mostly as a way to get ability to see things. For God's sakes, I've been trying to see Texas Chainsaw since I was in college, when I could just decided to stop watching it like 10 minutes in because it was boring me, which it doesn't bore me anymore, for the record. I watched the whole thing through Joe Bob. It's great. But, that's supposed to be my thing for it. I like it to the ability to just watch stuff that I should be watching and haven't watched yet. Sometimes I kind of would prefer without the commentary, but that's just personal preference in my case. But for the most part, I appreciate that there's a light being shined on some things that people wouldn't otherwise see because of him, basically.
Well,
I will say on that, I prefer having seen the movie before watching it on one of his shows. His original show was the way I saw Return of the Living Dead for the first time. And as a kid, that was awesome. But now, like we watched, Dead Heat a couple of weeks ago? Never seen the movie before. I would have preferred to watch it without Joe Bob and then watch it again with.
That's kind of how I felt about Blood Rage, particularly.
Well, Joe Bob was like the first time I got to see Tetsuo the Iron Man. I was going to watch it, and it popped up on Joe Bob's show, so I watched it on Joe Bob's show. And One Cut of the Dead was also, Joe Bob first before anything else. So.
But you know what? One Cut of the Dead I didn't actually mind, and Tetsuo I didn't mind at all because I really just don't care for that movie.
Well, I'd never seen it.
That's a Dance Commander movie all day long. My wife she missed the first movie, Mayhem. She came back. She was out with a friend. Came back, saw Tetsuya, and she was like, "This is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life." And I was like, "Matt really likes this movie," and she's like, "That makes sense."
The thing was, I watched Mayhem not long ago, so I kind of wasn't really in the mood to revisit Mayhem already. You know,
I saw it when Shudder originally started streaming it, because it was a Shudder original, which can segue right into this because they've gotten tons of movies now, and they've got the exclusive streaming rights, and they're all Shudder originals.
Yeah, in the beginning, like I said, it was just 31 was the big one. They had some other ones, but they weren't. I wouldn't say they weren't good. I didn't watch many of them, but they weren't things that got a lot of push and a lot of publicity from horror media. And now
I think Mayhem did,
Mayhem did, but that was later. Like Mayhem came further down the line. Like Mayhem, Revenge. Better Watch Out was one of the first ones that got a lot of push. Babysitter, I think. The Babysitter, I think, was one of the ones that got a lot of push as an original.
That was a Netflix movie.
No, that's right. Yeah, that is that. Yeah, Better Watch Out, though.
Like Party Hard, Die Young.
That was one. The more recent ones. But they're kind of. I think it was pretty much around the time of Revenge and Revenge in particular, because everybody really liked Revenge. That they kind of started pushing more. Mandy was a really big one. They pushed Mandy to hell. Like that one was big time. We got the rights to it. That kind of thing.
Mandy was fun.
Like they're getting ready to do Color from Space. So
which I really liked. I was pumped about that.
I thought that was kind of a bummer movie, though.
You're a bummer, Chuck.
It was a bummer. Like you talking about The Lodge being a bummer. I thought this was kind of a bummer.
I didn't think The Lodge was a bummer. It was just fucking depressing.
That's what I mean. Like, this is kind of depressing if you think about it.
A little bit. But
the story was depressing.
I've read the story, and then I'd seen the Lovecraft Historical Society. I've got their Blu-ray of their version of this movie.
Debbie Rochon is a good one. I like it a lot.
So this is Blood Quantum. And they pushed this pretty hard when they first got it.
Yes, they did.
And it's pretty unique. It's a zombie movie, but the whole aspect of it is that it takes place in Canada, and the natives, this is the Red Crow Indian Reservation, for whatever reason, a zombie outbreak happens, and this collective race of people aren't infected by the disease, no matter how many times they get bit or anything like that. They're immune. And I thought that was actually pretty cool of an idea.
I think it's cool, but like I think not knowing that almost ahead of time is pretty good, because you think like a lot of important people are gone out the gate.
Yeah, I'm kind of on that boat, because like I honestly, when I realized like, wait, what the hell is he doing still alive? I actually kind of didn't like it. I eventually got back into that aspect once I realized what the hell was going on. But yeah, it's a little weird to see suddenly, oh, he's alive. Okay, sure,
So what? The movie takes place in 1981, and the first 20 minutes is just introduction of a handful of characters. And there's a pretty unique situation going on with the separated parents. They have a kid together, and then he's got a real shitty kid from a first marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And his name is Lysol.
Mm-hmm.
Nickname, anyway. Lysol is probably like one of my issues with this movie, though.
Mine too.
He is the issue with the movie.
I have more than one issue with the movie, but he's a big one for me. Yeah.
So, but plain and simple, right after that, fast forward 6 months, and they have kind of fortified the reservation, and any survivors that come through that aren't natives, they have essentially a different bunker because they can get sick. And most of this comes down to a rivalry within leadership for the most part.
Really in the family, I'd say, more than leadership.
Well, it's the leader and his son.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, you kind of could say that.
Sheriff Trailer. But, I mean, gore is good. And in a zombie movie, I don't know. I like having a little bit of gore. And
the gore is great. The gore is one of the best things in the movie.
Oh, yeah, the gore is like what takes this movie from one level.
Yeah, absolutely.
To better than it should have been.
I mean,
chainsaw to the face.
Yes.
Was probably my favorite part of the movie, if I'm being honest.
Well, I would argue that the movie is better before the time jump.
I would argue the opposite.
I would side with you, Chuck.
Because I feel like after we do the time jump, we're just Walking Dead. You know what I mean? It's just Walking Dead, pretty much.
It is. I don't disagree with that.
But before, it's unique and it's different.
I would have liked to have seen more build up to said Walking Dead.
Yeah, they kind of just, oh hey, it's 6 months later and we built all this.
Yeah, like 6 months later and the bridge coming from the mainland to their island, they just pretty much barricaded off and set up a wood chipper.
Yeah.
Which is a great scene.
Yes. Character, I'm not going to spoil, but there's one character that conks out probably about 15 minutes before the movie ends, which I guess they did that just to try to add a shock factor to it. But I think that character should have been there to the end. You know what I mean?
Oh, of course he should have.
Well, that's the best character of the whole movie.
He is. Yeah. And then the grandfather, of course.
Yep. Oh wait, are you talking about him that he just said?
Me?
You said the grandfather.
I said, and the grandfather. He was an awesome character as well.
I'm going to withhold on that 15-minute thing then.
Well, what happened? I mean, like the main guy, like the one we're thinking of, he should be like in there throughout the whole thing. You could have literally got rid of Andy. Ain't his name Sugar? The guy that had the wife or the girlfriend or whatever. That
I don't remember his name for the life of me. Yeah, I know, but I don't remember his name for the life of me.
Yeah, it's like there's so many different people that you could have got rid of if you had to get rid of somebody. You didn't have to get rid of that character when you got rid of that character. And so what exactly was the point of Lysol doing what he does in the movie? Like, it seemed like it come random to me.
It is. Just to be clear, my issue, you mentioned earlier you liked the movie before the time jump.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and it's the reason I couldn't watch it the first time. I get it, he's trying. The man can't act. The man cannot emote at all. And I know he's trying, and that's why I can't get too down on him about it, but it just, no. And that kind of just ate at me the whole movie. So I can't agree that I would have liked him necessarily to be there the whole way. I'll put it that way. Plus, suffice to say, like you said, I don't disagree with you. I feel like they I'll put it this way. They gave him a hero moment because they wanted to give him a hero moment. That was it. I don't think he earned it. I don't think he needed to in that situation. It just was there to be there, basically.
Well, he was much more interesting than the woman,
My favorite part with the woman was when they go to pick up the son at the beginning of the movie, and the guy behind the counter at the jail says that your son's been picked up more than a prostitute. And all she does is laugh and says, "I'll wait in the car." And I'm like, really? Okay.
My take on that part there is that the reason she went to the car, obviously, is because she would have said something that would probably keep him in jail longer.
Oh, probably.
But the jail scene was very cool.
I did watch it and go, wow, we accidentally picked a good time to review this one, didn't we?
Yeah.
I was like, we'll leave it at that. But I was just like, wow, that's what, 12 hits? Okay. I get it, he bit you, but still.
And then we got a random flashback moments when we find out what he did to get put in jail to begin with.
That was good.
But what about the random like animated portions of the film?
I like those. Like you mentioned earlier, that the beginning was different. Like, the idea that it felt unique. That's part of what made the movie feel unique, was that it had those animated segments, or especially the middle one where he's like talking over it and saying, maybe we're not immune, maybe he just forgot about us. Right. Those were great.
Well, and showing like the Earth spirit in that was probably a lot easier to do than actually use CGI or make it practical somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Which could be another reason why they did it. And then rather than just have the one spot of it, put it in a few more times so it wasn't completely out of place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I kind of hated that they called the zombies Zeds.
Yes, I did too. That was terrible.
Like, I really, really didn't like that. I don't know. They couldn't just say zombie?
I agree.
No, because you don't say zombie in a zombie movie.
Am I the only one, by the way, who really liked the fish effect?
It was cool.
Fish.
That was great.
I covered my dog's eyes.
Yeah.
The dog got put down.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
I covered Neville's eyes.
The only part about it, like...
Was he really put down, though? But let's leave it at that. Anyway.
The blood was all good. The only bad moment of CGI at all was when someone took like a sword to the side of the head. You know what I mean? That was like a bad CGI kill.
Yeah, because somehow the grandfather was like a fucking samurai.
Which, weird, but amazing.
Yes.
That's the thing. Strange choice, but if you can do it and you have a guy who can pull it off, own it.
And then he's like, Lysol says something along the lines of, what happens if all of these, non-natives that are here get infected? We don't have enough bullets for those. We'll never be able to do it. And he pulls out his sword. He's like, you don't have to reload a sword.
Exactly. And he proves it.
More than once.
Yes.
Yeah.
I liked when they were clearing out the gas station and he's like looking around and the guy overhead's like been killing zombies, just throws it out the window and makes him jump 15 feet. And he's like, a little warning next time.
I didn't catch his name, but the big guy, he didn't speak English but understood English.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought at first that was Meatloaf.
No.
to the back there for a second.
No.
But, this movie's kind of a bummer in some ways too, as far as the way things go.
It's a little depressing, but
I will say I would have respected it. I would have respected it if it had gone even more bummer.
Well, why did Lysol even do what he did? Jealousy? What was it?
I mean, that's part of the problem I had with it, honestly. The whole movie at the end, at least in the end, was I went to my wife afterwards and I said, you know what I really want to do right now? I want to watch Day of the Dead. I said, because, God damn it, at least Captain Rhodes earned it. Like, you know what his deal is. You know who he is. You know what he feels. You know his character. So when he dies, you get why you want him to die. Yeah. You never really know why Lysol's doing any of this.
Well, he's
just an asshole.
He always acted out, and he was mad because his...
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Joe. No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Joe.
So he...
No, I was just... Delay. It's a delay. I'm
gonna fucking delay you. Go, Chuck.
Go.
I was just saying, like, he was cool with his brother till all of a sudden he wasn't. You know what I mean?
I don't think he ever accepted him as his brother.
Yeah.
There was when he does the initial thing he does to him, he basically says like something about like, I don't have a family or we're not family, something like that. I can't remember the exact line, and I think that kind of gets to that.
Like, well, even his dad said when he had to go pick him up, he's like, I think he thinks that I'm a fuck up, and because he was never really there for him when he was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think he's just been on his own because his mom ended up being a drug addict or something, some shit like that.
But it still isn't really like clearly explained. That's the thing. Like he just,
No.
You can tell like on some level he wants to from that first scene after the time jump. But at the time, it doesn't even really seem like he wants to. He's trying to warn them about it. So why would you instigate it then? You know?
Yeah. Because they didn't have nothing else to do with the third act.
Yeah. You have to create the conflict somewhere.
Yeah. Which I think I would almost preferred like another way, you know what I mean, than that.
I mean, they had the other way right there with the same character that he let do that. You had it right there the whole time, you know? So
it could have happened another way, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe they tried to get a little too fancy, but now, were we really questioning the acting skills of our Indian sheriff?
I am, yes. And I don't mean that in a mean way.
That's how
I'm not trying to be mean. The thing is,
that's how a Native American would act in that situation, like hardcore Native American.
Native Canadian.
Or Native Canadian in this movie because they're Canadian.
You guys watch Letterkenny?
I'm going to leave that alone. I'm just going to leave that alone and let it just kind of float there.
I mean, over the years...
Like I say, I'm not saying he's not trying.
Okay.
I'm not saying he's not trying. I'm just saying that there are points where something happens and maybe instead of giving a 5, he needed to go to a 6, if that makes sense. And that's what kept getting to me. It's not that like he's...
And that happens fairly early on.
Yes, exactly.
So it's got flaws. And yeah. I kind of hated the ending.
Oh yeah.
I really wish they paid off, I'll put it this way, the foreshadowing and the question, shall we say.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And actually done it. I really wish they had. It would have been dark as shit, but it would have been ballsy as hell.
But at the same time, I guess it'd be a 50-50 chance of how it would have happened.
Right.
Well, look how bad the woman was a terrible shot too, by the way. I think that could have been avoided at the end.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways.
I mean, it is that whole scene's awkward. Like, go back and watch the cuts. Watch the cuts. It's just something's missing somewhere or something.
Well, I mean, the way they lead into it, they're like, "Oh, he's over here."
Mm-hmm.
So they all go over here, and then they're like, "Where is he?" So they all go off separately and go get him, and it's like.
And then, like, when she has to start shooting, it's just random shots every direction. Instead of, boom, boom, and then, the trunk's opening, maybe save one. You know?
Yeah.
Well, you'd think being married to a sheriff, you'd probably be able to aim a gun.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Or, she could have put more effort into, maybe even she should have sacrificed herself in that scene if she had to.
Yeah.
It would have actually probably been more sensible.
Yeah. But,
could have led to a better ending.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing. If they had gone as dark as I'm saying, it would not have fixed the fact that the ending was still weak.
I'd probably, at the end of the day, I'd probably still give it a 3.5 out of 5.
I don't disagree with that. I was thinking 3. Maybe 3.5 because of the...
And, I mean, I was with you on one end of it. More, of what it was at the first part of the jump. Just because I've never seen a zombie story told from that perspective, from the Native American perspective,
right. Yes.
So that was fresh to me. So, so it would be, if this is the old days, I'd give it absolution, but it's still a little.
Technical difficulty. My AirPods died, and we're back. So, James, I cut you off, so go ahead.
No problem. You're earbud. But no, I'm giving it a 3.5 too. It's only a 3.5 because it gets an extra half because of the gore. It's just, I agree with you in that as much as I had a problem with his acting, the first part of it, you're right. It is different. It is refreshing in that way. You know, all the indigenous cast, you know, in that movie makes it different. You know, and then when you jump ahead, you pretty much lose all of that, because other than the fact that they're immune, that's not really important anymore, you know, to the story. They're just there. You know, but beyond that, I mean, it's generally fine. I admit I got more into the performances. You know, the reason that at the end of the movie that I was kind of frustrated as well was just, I don't know, maybe I'm getting old, and I don't know if you guys agree on this, but yeah, but like what it is you see all the time, you know, this is the best movie ever. This is the most awesome movie ever. And this, you mentioned, you know, they were pushing the hell out of it, and everybody was talking about it. And I'm like, this must be really good. And I'm like, it's good. It's okay, but really, and it gets to like the core of, on the Shudder page, it's always how many skulls out of 5. This to me is not a 5-skull movie.
No.
Everybody's going to give it 1 because that's their way of saying I loved it, and that's great. But you kind of amp up expectation then, because it's just not. It's good. It has good ideas. It's unique because of the perspective. It's not. In this day and age, using that much gore is crazy, you know, but it's flawed. It's really flawed. You know, it's worth watching, though, totally.
I can agree with most of that. I think Chuck might be frozen.
Possibly.
Is he frozen on your screen?
I don't see Chuck on my screen. I see a picture. And I don't mean the picture just him frozen. I mean the circular ring.
Chuck is
gone. And now he's left.
We'll continue without Chuck.
Yeah.
Why not? There he comes.
Just like the old days.
So everyone's back.
On my end. What was I,
and we're all back
what
now.
Was I supposed to do? What was I supposed to do?
Technical difficulties right off the bat. This is Extracast.
This is Extracast.
So,
but at least it's not happening like, you know, throughout the show. We had near the end of this marathon, we're having a problem.
Yeah, true.
So with the movie, I loved. Like I'm giving it a 4. Where are we at? There we go. Giving it a 4. Because, as you guys both said, it was very unique, and everything. I loved the first 15-20 minutes of it more than the rest of the film. And as I said, I wish there would have been more of that, or more build up to the last, 6 months later.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a problem with the acting for the most part. I don't know. Nowadays, unless it's really bad, I don't know if it's just coming with old age, as you said, but I just kind of overlook it. Or maybe it's just I've seen enough Chuck Connery movies to overlook it.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The fact that this movie was enjoyed by us at all is an accomplishment, because we're still suffering from zombie fatigue at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, we're decades strong here with zombies everywhere. So it's true. It's good to see a zombie movie come out that's somewhat fresh.
Yeah, it was definitely a refreshing take on it. And storyline wise, while it got a little crazy out of nowhere, I have a hard time hating it. And it's got its flaws, and that's why it's getting a 4-star. I could easily do a 3.5, but I'm gonna give it that extra half a star for that chainsaw scene.
Because that's the thing. It's not bad. It's just flawed. It's not bad. It's worth watching.
Which I've not seen a bad Shudder movie yet. Like, I've seen some that I didn't enjoy as much as the others, but I've not seen like a horrible one yet.
31.
I didn't
To be fair, I like Malcolm McDowell and his 2 associated hangers-on in that movie, but otherwise,
I think it's the worst part about it. It's the same thing that's been hurting Rob Zombie for years, he don't know how to end a movie.
That's kind of like us, because I don't know how to end a podcast.
But we never have known how to end a podcast.
No, we've never ended well at all.
We just ramble on
until I decide to cut it.
Until the site crashes again.
Yes.
Or that. Or my wife sends me more text messages
Usually
asking when
we'll
we'll
go out
finish.
on a song, you know.
You said go out on a song?
I said usually you go out on a song, you know.
Oh, well.
Yeah, but not as easy to do it in video form, though.
Not as easy, yes.
So.
But, hey, at least we all pretty much liked the first movie we reviewed since coming back.
Yeah. We're calling that Absolution?
Sure. We still doing Absolution?
I mean,
that's a gimmick.
You're the boss. It's a gimmick, you know?
I mean, if we're going to go full-fledged gimmick, do we need to start wearing priest outfits while we're on here?
I was going to say, we aren't wearing collars, so we don't really have to.
I was going to say, that was never really a thing, no matter what he said.
I don't really have... I'm wearing red, but I'm not really wearing the red hat and the, you know...
See, now you're seeing where VinSyn's influence would be, because if VinSyn was still part of the show in its video, we'd be wearing priest outfits.
No, I think if VinSyn was still part of the show, he might not be wearing priest outfits, but he would be in full corpse paint makeup.
He would have orange face paint, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I guess on that note, we can end the show.
Yes.
2 episodes down, same night. These were probably a little longer than what the rest will be. Just kind of getting my rounds back. I might be able to edit some of those out.
I hope. I think that's why it's a good thing.
If I actually want to sit through and watch this all before.
Why the hell is someone taking the elevator at 11 o'clock at night?
It's a great question.
Maybe they got somewhere to be. They got to go to McDonald's.
Go to Walmart and look for a lunchbox. That's the end of the show. We will be back, and I think we already have the next one planned out for the most part. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we'll see you guys real soon.